It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. And after a very successful installation in Mission Hills of pots on a back deck, Greg and I spent the majority of today shopping for plants and rocks for our next project, which will commence on Monday on Sunset Cliffs, which is kind of a suburb in Point Loma, right? Point Loma,
Ocean Beach.
Ocean Beach, yeah. Very coastal influence. This client is such a sweetheart. She's not really far down the succulent road, but she's getting there, and she's got the heart of a collector, but she also appreciates design. So she's got some really cool plants in her backyard, which I'll show you next week. And I'm going to do the front as a nod to her collector mentality by bringing in some really beautifully curated specimens from Brandon at Desert Theater, Caesar at Sun Valley, and then the private collection from Waterwise Botanicals. Then I'm also going to be doing tapestry work in some of her flower bed areas. So it's going to be a party for sure. Lots of fun. But I thought, since we've been doing all of these spectacular pots, Hannah put this pumice planter together for me yesterday with some leftovers from that Mission Hills project. I mean, look at this aloe with the pink edges, really? Those god-awful spray-painted succulents you see at Home Depot? This isn't one of them. This is nature. Wow. I mean, that is a Kelly Griffin.
Turn it a little bit.
Turn it so they can see it a little better. Look at that. I mean, pink. Dang, I just so cool. So anywho, you always see the good, but what about the bad and the ugly? So Hannah did this arrangement in this big ceramic coffee mug a few months ago, and it's been sitting on this little table, which is typically under the pergola in my patio, and been completely and utterly ignored. I haven't watered it or done anything to it, and it's looking a hot mess. Right? I mean, if you get up top, Greg, and kind of look down, you can see how the rubra tinctum. See, this is thirst, guys. See that? How the leaves are kind of all shriveled up compared to this one, whose leaves are really plump and full. So this little guy, struggle bus, right? And this little sedum here. See, she did a mixed arrangement with some cuttings and some rooted plants. And this little sedum, it bloomed from the meristem, so it's done. You could harvest these fat, plump leaves and perhaps do some leaf propagation, but this plant, fine. So we'll set that aside. And there's deadheading to do. Look at all of this. Ooh, and this poor little aloe could be rehabilitated, but really is not appropriate in a arrangement. It doesn't look good at all. So that needs to go to the Garden of Death. Just kind of turning this around for you, you can see that some of the plants are indeed thriving. But overall, doesn't this just look kind of sad? It's thirsty. I mean, it's been rode hard and put away wet 1 or 2 times for sure. And this is, kind of like microclimates at work, in that you see that some plants are doing really well and others not so much. So there's a couple of approaches that I can take to dealing with this arrangement. And my general rule of thumb is, if it's 50% or more crappy, start over. If it's 49% crappy or 51% good, then maybe just fluff. So in this case, oh my gosh. All right, this is so cute. Look, here's a couple of leaves that have propagated themselves. These probably got knocked by the dog or something and fell off of the plant. So they've just been laying in on top of the soil. And this is what you do. This is how you leaf propagate. You let the leaves alone on top of the soil like this. You don't stick them in the ground. You lay them flat so that new babies can form right there at the break. This one's even starting to get some little roots. So when they get to be about as big as a dime is when you could pluck them off the leaf and start a new plant, if you so desire. So, like this is a little, I think this is a neon breaker echeveria, I think, and it's basically just thirsty. I mean, I think everything in this pot just needs a drink. So I'm not going to tear this apart because it's not dead. It just needs some TLC. So what I'm doing is, I'm just kind of picking out the detritus, cleaning it up, checking for bugs, checking for diseases, checking for anything amiss. I'm not seeing any of the above. And, you're making decisions too. Are there any plants in here that you don't feel like belong because, they just need rehabilitated elsewhere? Kind of like this scrubby little aloe and this poor little spent sedum. So once you have made your cuts and pulled things out that you just don't think are redeemable for whatever reason, and done all of your deadheading and checked for pests and diseases or other problems, established that yes, indeed, the soil is very dry. I mean, I can feel to the touch that it's as dry as a bone, and the container's very lightweight. There is a drainage hole in the bottom too. So yeah, this just needs water. And yes, I know what you're saying. Well, Laura, why don't you just shut up and water it? Yeah, and things will fluff, but I'm still going to see dirt, guys. I'm still going to see dirt. So my hack in this situation is to take and add more plants. They can be cuttings, they can be rooted. It's really, really up to you and how hard you want to work. These cute little crassula babies necklace, I'm just going to tuck some of these in, and I'm going to tuck them in rooted because, I mean, it's not like they have an extensive root system, and it's not like I'm going to have to tear the entire arrangement apart to accommodate a few little roots. So I just think with us getting into warmer weather, it's late April right now in Southern California, and it is going to start heating up, that these tender little crassula are going to have a better chance if I plant them with some roots. So we'll tuck those in. And what I'm basically doing is just trying to fill in the gaps at this point with what I have on hand in the garden. And if you have some plant material, great. If you just take cuttings from existing arrangements, great. Whatever works for you. Keeping in mind how these plants are going to grow. This little graptosedum is going to grow on a bit of a trunk. So I don't want to put it right at the edge because it's just going to grow out and look, leggy and etiolated. So I'm going to put it more toward the middle where that trunk is hidden from view. This purple haze. No, this is not aloe purple haze. Here we go. Peperomia graveolens. Just the cutest. I talked about this plant in Mission Hills last week. I don't know if any of you guys ever found this bigger than a little, 2, 3, 4-inch pot. I love it, but it is so small that it doesn't really seem suitable, in my landscape installations. But in a little arrangement, heck yeah. So I'm going to take my multi-tool, loosen that up a bit right there. I'd really like to shove this whole thing in here if I can, roots and all. And don't be gentle. They don't care. Plants don't care. If your succulent stands up, you have done your job. Doesn't that look cute? See how it's already starting to fluff up and look so much better? I'm going to keep going with more tight little plants. This is obviously trying. So the question is, do I leave it? You know what I think I'm going to do? Oops. Yeah, it's rooted in there too. But I've gone too far down the road. Oh my gosh, this is so bone dry. I'm going to put this in my gutters, okay? It just didn't look good there. I couldn't with it. So I still have a lot of gaps when you look down on this. So a really great way to cheat, if you have it, is to take some crassula, because this is the toughest plant known to mankind. And it is such a good filler, because you can take little pieces like this, so tough, and just stick them in. And you don't really even have to plant them, as long as that stem makes contact with the soil, you're really good to go. So yes, I'm cheating big time, but it's just such a great way to fluff up an arrangement real quick. You know, if you've got people coming, you're hosting a party or an event, and you don't have time to, you know, completely destruct and reconstruct your pots, you can always just take big chunky cuttings like this and tuck them in. Look at that. Wow. So much better. And then we will follow this arrangement on Walkabout Wednesdays too, because I'm also going to give it a drink of water. And when I water, I'm just showering off the plant. I'm not pouring water until it runs through the drainage hole. I'm just giving it a little shower. Takes me, what, should I just do it?
Sure.
Yeah, maybe I should just show you, what I'm talking about. I'll show you how I water. Okay, so this is it, guys. Just a little shower. Boom. And done. And that should perk all of these thirsty little plants right on up. Within the next day or two, everything is going to be plump and full and looking 100. So, thanks, guys, for you. So many of you have blown up my Instagram, sliding into the old DMs. I'm loving it. Oh my gosh, you all have shown me your work. People that live on the East Coast, people from Croatia, people from
Australia.
oh yeah, just South Africa. I'm thinking about this week, the frozen north, Sweden. I mean, all over. Many folks in Europe are now starting to migrate their plants out of their greenhouses and back out into the yard. And you have shown me your in-ground installations, and you are gorgeous. Oh my gosh. One of my followers from Austin, Texas sent me the most beautiful photos of his balcony. Honestly, you guys are amazing. You have done such amazing work. And I have such respect for all of you, particularly those of you that garden in really hostile places where this ain't easy, and you have to like schlepp the plants in the winter and then schlepp them out and protect them from the rain and fan them off in the humidity and just do all of these things to keep them going. And you just really inspire me. So keep those photos coming to Laura Loves Succulents on Instagram. Meanwhile, I hope that this has inspired you to get out there and just spend 5 minutes fluffing up your pots so they can look like this all the time. This has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. Bye, guys.